Welcome everybody to the second working group meeting on Smart Heritage Cities. We are going to wait a couple of minutes more because many people are arriving in this moment to let them to participate completely in the event. So in 2 minutes we start. So welcome to the second working group meeting of the Smart Heritage Working Group. This is a working group established by the European Association of Development Agencies. I am the director, Esteban Pelayo, together with Positive, a very interesting Smart Cities project related to smart heritage cities, which are very relevant for have difficulties for implementing the new solutions of smart heritage, of smart cities, because we had to preserve the heritage and the own ancient cities on when we make an investment in transformation, in energy, in ICT. So as you probably know, in this moment, 50% of the world population live in cities, and there are an estimation that 80% of the world population will be in cities by 2050. So cities are an important actors in the new climate challenge, and cities are the place where we live, where we have the better quality of life, and cities are the main important place in the territory to have economic activity, to implement new knowledge, to develop technologies. For that reason, I think this working group is so popular, and we have a lot of things to discuss and to say. The second working group meeting is going to be focused on finance and how we could finance and establish better resources for the project or our cities. So Arlene, could you put the next slide? We are going to start with the following, with the rules for following the meeting that will last 1 hour. We want to give you a very quick overview of what we are going to do. So please switch off your cameras and consider that we are recording, and as well mute your microphone because the sound will be more clear. However, your voice is important, and considering that we are not many people, we are going to organize a round table before, because the main purpose of this working group are to learn from each other, to establish partnership, and to facilitate your participation in project. So we think that is very relevant and very interesting that we know each other, and we will make a round table of presentation. Take part and participate in the chat that we have established, and one of my colleagues, whatever question you will make to the participant, we will organize that. As well, we have another participatory measure, which is Slido. We will make you 3 questions, now 1, and then 2 important questions at the end of the meeting about what is going to be the topic of the next meetings, and if you want to be involved in our dissemination, newsletter dissemination, in order to promote your entity, your development agency, your city, and to be seen to participate in partners. So I recommend you to use your mobile phone and to, I don't know if you know, but there is an app called Slido. Otherwise, you could go to the website and could use there. So we have established a code for Slido that is second working group. So let's go there, and we will ask a first question for you, and then we check that everything goes and work well. So before asking you the question, sorry, I had to present you the agenda. The agenda, as I told you, is about the finance. We are going to discuss about finance today. I think it's going to be a really relevant and practical meeting. We are now in the second meeting, so we are running the working group smooth, and we are going to have a Rui Barroso from DECSIS that will tell us the overall framework and how projects are implemented in cities in practice. So, and he will give us a lot of advice and things connected with his experience and the entities and local entities that he knows. Later, we will have José Miguel Costa, and will introduce us Horizon 2020 calls that are very relevant. And then, as I told you, we will have a plan of future of the next meeting and a specific proposal that you may have. So let's go to the first question. Can you pass the slide? Let's go to the first question to check that if Slido works. You have to type second working group, and then you will know that we are there. The question, if you see that, is this your first time attending a meeting of Smart Heritage Cities? So if it is your first time or not that you attend a meeting on Smart Heritage Cities. So we have almost 14 people answering. So I see that you have entered in the dynamic of the question and answer thing. Okay, perfect. So after this, considering that we are in the limit, because we have 64 people registered and we say we could die of success, but considering that we are almost in the limit of 30, we are going to do very quickly. One of the things that we will do in every working group meeting is to showcase you and in order to make people to know who you are and what you do. So I kindly ask to introduce yourself. I'm going to ask for your name and then you say very briefly who you are, from where you are. So the first one is Filipa Fernandez from Tomar. So could you introduce yourself, Filipa? Is just say, I am Filipa, I come from that. Filipa is a way of showing who you are and what you do. So if Filipa is not there, Andrea Servan from ADR Northeast. I see the logo. So
yes, hello. Hello, everyone. I am
hello. You
Servan.
could switch on your camera if you wish. If you wish. It's your privacy because we are recording. We are recording that. So it's Andrea, sorry. Yes.
Unfortunately, I cannot turn on the camera because it's due to a technical issue, but it's very nice to see everyone and hear from you. I come from Northeast Regional Development Agency in Romania, and I work in Brussels for the Brussels office currently. I'm looking forward to today's discussions and for more meetings of this kind.
Okay. So the next one is going to be Armandinho Cunha. Armandinho, we saw you before. Armandinho? No?
Good morning.
Yes, hello.
Okay. I am Armandinho Cunha, as you said. I'm from the city of Braga. I'm responsible of the archaeological office in this city hall.
Welcome, welcome. We want you to, all of you, to know each other. This is one of the working group activities, and that's why I asked you to introduce you briefly. Andrei Busatu, sorry for the pronunciation. Andrei Busatu? No. Charlotte from the Positive Consortium. Can you say something, Charlotte? Hello.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charlotte Miki from Fondazione Icons. I'm leading the communication dissemination activities for the H2020 project Positive, who is co-organizing this working group. Hello, everyone.
Nice to see you, Charlotte. Claire, Harvey?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm also from Positive Project, but from EDP, LabLec, who are the coordinators of Positive Project. Nice to be here.
Hi, Claire. Elif Muratoglu from NOCA, no? Yes. Hello, yeah. Elif.
Hi, everybody. I'm attending the meeting from Turkey, the province of Samsun, and I'm working as the coordinator of tourism result-oriented program of Middle Black Sea Development Agency, and I'm a city planner. It's really nice to meet all of you.
Thank you, Elif. Fabio Apra from R2M.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Fabio Apra from R2M Solution. It's a consultancy company who's working in Spain, and we are looking for financial possibilities for developing our projects in Spain and connection with Spanish entities, so like cities and the organization over there. So I'm really interested to know what you're going to discuss in the webinar. Thank you.
Okay, I am keeping my colleagues from Eurada because you know Eurada. Laura Silva from ITEC.
Hi, hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Laura from ITEC, Catalonia, and I'm also a Positive partner. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Maria Trabace. No. Then Natasha von Redas from Serbia. Nice to see you, Natasha.
Hello, Esteban. Hello to all colleagues. from all over Europe. It is a pleasure to be here today with you. My name is Natasha. I'm Director Assistant in the Regional Economic Development Agency for Šumadija and Pomoravlje, and I'm going to be with you for a few minutes only. My colleague Marica Gajic, who is also registered, will follow everything. She is also in charge for smart innovation and historical sites in our agency.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Nice to see you. Then Rinus.
Yes, this is Rinus van Vliet from the Netherlands. I'm an starting entrepreneur and looking for possibilities for charging in historical cities for EVs.
Okay, thank you very much, Rinus. Rita Lopez. No problem. Sarah Davoren.
Hello, Sarah Davoren. I work for the Southern Regional Assembly in Ireland, and smart innovation is an important part of our regional economic strategy. And I'm also the national contact point for the interregional funding program for Northwest Europe.
Okay.
So we are interested in supporting you to make contacts with Irish partners, especially for transnational projects.
Good. Thank you very much for being here, and we hope that you will say something as well, because today we are speaking about project and finance. Thank you very much. So Silvia Gonçalves. No problem, Silvia. Valeria Toncheva from Plovdiv.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm from the Business Development and European Projects Department of the Municipality of Plovdiv. It's our first time in the work groups, but we hope that it will be very useful because we are one of the oldest cities in the world. We have a lot of heritage sites that we need to work on and we need to protect. So we're open to partnerships and looking forward to finding out about the financing opportunities.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Thank
Vincenzo Cimini.
Hi there, good morning everybody. Vincenzo Cimini from Officine Verdi in Rome.
Okay.
Yeah, we're working on several smart city projects, Horizon 2020, and in particular in City Exchange, we are developing the financing model for an heritage district in Ireland, in Limerick, the Georgian district. So I'm quite interested in the discussion today.
So thank you very much. So the purpose, I recall you, is to match you, to make you to be better known, and as well to help you to learn from each other and to establish partnership. At the end of the day, of the hour that we are going to be together, we will ask you if you want to be showcased in the next newsletter that we are going to send to all of you. So without no more introduction, which is the main part and the more important thing, I had the pleasure to introduce you the first speaker, Rui Barroso. Rui Barroso is the director of digital transformation of an ICT company called DECSIS, and he's as well member of the Portuguese project manager, and as well is vice president of the Portuguese incubator. For us, Rui is someone very close to Eurada because he has been during many years member of the executive committee, the board of directors, representing ADRAL, the development agency of Alentejo. Rui is one of the best experts in Europe, and I say openly with him in front of us, in ICT and regional development. And he's going to introduce us today how projects are included in practice, how you could use high-performance computer, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, skills, those things that sounds very far from your cities, but can be useful. And as well, he's going to introduce practical example of project that has been achieved and could inspire you in the next calls and project that we are going to launch from 21-27. So, Rui, the word is yours. Thank you very much for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you, Esteban. Good morning to you all. I hope you can listen to some of the things that all of this amazing group of people and experiences to the discussion of ideas and projects that can be developed in your cities. More than being concerned about funding, I'm trying to show you some of the ideas, some of the key areas where the European funds will be allocated and the priorities. And as Esteban said, to make a connection between some of the things that look like rocking science, but actually they will have extremely importance in the communities and in SMEs and citizens for the near future. So let me just share my presentation with you. Okay. So as I said, I will talk about digital projects for innovative cities. And this is a very important aspect of the city development in terms of innovation. So how do we, let me just share the sound also. Okay. So in order for you to develop good projects, it is important to build in your city, in your ecosystem, an innovative vision about the community, about the city, about the projects you want to develop. So if we look at the city and the creation of an innovation hub in one city, it is of course a multi-stakeholder organization. Well, it's not one, but it's multiple organizations, multiple leaders working in a common vision, trying to achieve common goals. This is very important. So the first step would be to build up this community. So this is not a task for one organization, it's a task for a group of organizations in one city or one region to try and pursue some of the most important goals in terms of innovation in a city. Of course, in a city, we have to manage complexity of the project portfolio that we want to develop to achieve the goals that we define in our vision. This is an ecosystem to be managed with complexity in terms of decision, in terms of political leaderships, in terms of technical implementation of the projects. And so this is important to manage the complexity. This complexity is even more because the resources, we have distributed resources in the organizations that we want to use to implement the vision and to implement the project portfolio. Okay? So other thing that is very important is to define and to measure quantifiable KPIs, to evaluate the success and performance in terms of accomplishment, the results we want to achieve, but also the impact in the local community. That's the only way we'll build up an incremental ecosystem to promote innovation in the city. Of course, we also need to communicate the impact, clear message to citizens, to SMEs, to organizations, putting them on board with the vision and that we want to address. And I save vision for last because actually is one of the first items of the discussion to build up an innovation hub in the city. It is to discuss with the community what is the vision that I want to my city. And we need to address several problems, not only the management of the city, but the entrepreneurship within the city, the innovation in the city, the project that we want to develop to address the social and economic challenges that we need to face. One of the most important opportunities in the next framework of the European Commission, it's the Digital Europe program. This is the place where we want to be with this innovation hub, to build an innovation hub, to pick up on opportunities that will come from the Digital Europe program. Of course, there are other programs that will be available. José Miguel will talk about other opportunities, but I focused my presentation on digital projects. So in terms of Digital Europe program, it's a 7.6 billion euros in global, and is focused on building strategic digital capacities because Europe understands that it needs to lead on the digital area. We know that Europe is a great block of economic block in the middle of the United States and China, but Europe needs to put ahead in the digital world and needs to address some of the challenges that are facing that Europe is facing in terms of development of the society, economic development, and its place in the world, in the digital world. Okay, so the Commission defined that there are 5 areas in the Digital Euro program that are a priority: the high performance computing with 2.2 billion euros, artificial intelligence with 2.1 billion euros, cybersecurity with 1.6 billion euros, skills, advanced skills with 1.1 billion euros, and widen and connecting all the dots with half a billion euros to support the connection between several areas and the digital world. So why are these areas important for the cities? If we look at high performance computing, and maybe you don't understand why it is connected to cities, supercomputing will allow cities and SMEs and communities to develop new projects that are not possible using traditional resources. Also, these high performance computing resources are limited, so they need to be shared, and this will force a connection between science, SMEs. So in the future, we will see public organizations, public administration, SMEs using high performance computing resources to develop their projects, their products and their services. Artificial intelligence, it's also a means to accelerate the development of new products and services. So these two combined, high performance computing and artificial intelligence, will decide, or the use of this technology will decide the role of citizens, public administrations and SMEs in the future in terms of their competitiveness. Then one of the things that is extremely important nowadays, the cybersecurity issue. There is, as you know, an escalation in terms of threats that come from cyber attacks. And this is one thing that in terms of cities, in terms of the governance of the communities, that we need to address. So we need to put together community scientists, public administration, to improve the cybersecurity in our citizens and the life of our citizens, and also on the products that the SMEs develop. The skills is, of course, easier to connect to cities because it's to train people to use high performance computing, to use artificial intelligence, to use cybersecurity, or to apply cybersecurity to their systems. So this is vital that in each of the communities that are spread throughout the regions or the cities in Europe, there are people with these skills connected to the network of competence centers that will exist throughout Europe. One of the activities or the axis of this Digital Euro program is the European Digital Innovation Hubs initiative. It's an initiative that will create a network of European digital innovation hubs that will connect SMEs, communities, public administration, SME association, business development agencies, clusters, incubators, accelerators, investors, competence centers, industry association, to the priorities of high performance computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and trust, advanced digital skills. So the European Digital Innovation Hubs network, the Commission wants to have more or less, it's not totally one per region. So there is a portal, a website where you can check what are the European, the candidates and the existing ones. And this is an initiative that you should come close as a city. Check in your region, in your country, what are the European digital innovation hubs that are being created, because they will play an important and vital role in terms of innovation. As you see in the image in the right, the digital innovation hub will work as a center, an orchestrator of innovation between several types of organizations, as I said before. So it will be the broker of innovation in each of the regions, or in terms of the areas of specialization that you want to define for a region, or that you need from another region to support to you. If we look at the high performance computing more in detail, the 2.2 billion euros that will be available for projects, you see that in 2018 we had 33 zettabytes, and we'll have 175 zettabytes in 2025. So the capacity, the data that will be processed will be huge. And cities need to be in the middle of this, because cities, as a place for people to live, need to address the challenges using the best technologies. 2 or 3 examples of projects that need to use high performance computing. Digital twinning. Digital twinning is to create a virtual model of a physical, for example, a plane, a heart. So I will have my digital twin, or the digital twin of one plane, to simulate in digital everything that happens on physical. This is a new trend in the product development that will accelerate the optimization of a product. If I launch a product like a plane, I create a digital twinning model of this plane, and then I will have more rapid development phases to improve the product. This will be extremely important in the competitiveness of SMEs or of companies developing new projects, because the cycles of development will be much shorter, and we'll need to use the resources that are available to the product development. If you look at Europe in terms of high performance computing, the dots in the map set up the places where high performance computing facilities are already in place. You see Portugal, you see Spain, you see Luxembourg, you see Finland. So there are several examples of high performance computing, and these are extremely high performance computing. If you look at Portugal, that is one in Évora, Lisbon, Coimbra, and Ribadavia. So you have several high performance computing clusters in the country, but it is important for you to identify as a city the connection between your needs, the needs of your SMEs and citizens to the resources that are available. Sorry. Let me check.
Supercomputers. Today, our dream team is checking out how we can supersize computing power.
To calculate the number of raindrops until the end of my holidays, I'll need to...
Supercomputers can process mind-boggling amounts of data. They'll soon reach the computing power of all mobile phones across the EU taken together.
Hey, my phone!
That's 10 to the power of 18 operations per second, the so-called exascale. What exactly do we need that for?
Don't look at me. I don't have the answer.
The average computer does just fine for everyday data crunching.
Just lost 5% of my followers after posting this.
But for certain tasks, we'll need to think big. Very big.
Oh my God.
These include tackling challenges such as monitoring climate change and forecasting severe weather conditions.
Oh wow, thanks. Because my calculator's flooded.
Improving cybersecurity.
Mom, stop hacking my password.
And even deciphering the human brain.
Well, it was your cat's name.
Recently, European supercomputers have helped to search for and test cures for COVID-19. 8 more supercomputer centers will host 3 pre-exascale and 5 petascale supercomputers that will enable the EU to become a global leader in supercomputing.
Okay, another thing that is important, of course, it is the connection to all of these resources. And you as city have the responsibility to analyze, to diagnose, to see where you are in terms of connectivity, and to try and boost up the connection to these networks and to these resources. So if we look at the gigabit society, as the state of play is nowadays in Europe, 99% of households are covered by 4G, not the best technology to access these resources, because wireless networks to access these resources, the latency of the connection is too big, so not the best way. 100% households with broadband, 86% to a fast broadband. Of course, we need to look at this with care, because 100% it's actually near 100%, but less than 50% of households not covered with very high capacity. So 30 megabits nowadays, it's the minimum, but we should look at 100 to 100 gigabit connections to access these resources and to use them accordingly. There is a problem between urban and rural in terms of coverage. So in rural areas, it is much worse. the goals for this Connecting Europe facility, and there will be opportunities for this in a framework that will set up public-private partnership between cities and telcos and the market to develop the networks. So invest furthermore in fiber and 5G connections to connect digital capacity, the digital resources I spoke about to these networks, enable innovation in new business. So an SME needs to have access to all of these resources with the adequate connection, and to look at this as these digital infrastructures in a good model. So this will be also another important aspect. So you need to look at this in terms of infrastructure and services that you need to deploy. Now to put on a...
Could you finish in 3 minutes, please?
Yes. So examples of projects. So this is a start line of projects where we started from innovation projects in terms of modernization of public administration. Step 2 to the network connecting the municipalities and the entrepreneurial parks in the city, aggregation in a common data center, and in the end of this timeline, a science park, an incubation center, and programs to support startups to develop their projects and to support the development of the city. If we look to another example that is funded by the European Energy Efficiency Fund, to the modernization in terms of energy and change from a high consumption energy lights and public lighting to efficient lighting. The European Energy Efficiency Fund also funds several activities to the energy transition. If you look at the region, for instance, we had a saving of 72.6 reduction in terms of energy consumption in the public light, with an average energy consumption reduction of over 2 million euros per year. Okay, so this is actually a huge initiative that was funded in an ESCO model. So no money from the municipalities or from the cities to invest. It was an ESCO model that had huge results in terms of saving. Living left for CO2 reduction. This is a project that is being implemented in the city that will address private mobility, urban operations, logistics, active on soft mobility from people. We'll look at the city with sensors and we'll try to design policies or try to support policies in terms of the mobility in the city with the objective to reduce CO2 emissions in the city of Évora. Another program is the Startup Lab, where we are connecting all of these dots and we are funding startups and entrepreneurs to solve city problems, to identify city problems, to find technology solutions to address those problems. Another initiative that we are taking, I've talked to you about in previous slides, the European Digital Innovation Hubs Network. So the region is also, and the city of Évora is involved, addressing or proposing the creation of a digital innovation hub in the region and in the city with 3 main focus: advanced digital technologies, e-health and active aging. Very important in terms of the living in the cities. The active aging in the cities is not only to have a long life expectancy in terms of age, it's also to live it with quality, and also the aerospace industry in the region. So these are the pillars that we are proposing to create a digital innovation hub in the region. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please, Esteban, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the excellent presentation. You said to us that we should take into account Digital Europe and the opportunities, and as well give us a lot of examples of things that can be done in cities. We are going to share your presentation with the participants so they will be able to follow that.
Just one important thing about this is to be prepared. Don't wait for the things. Just design, create the capacity, create the community of innovation, discuss with citizens and SMEs the needs, because there you will be better positioned to propose the projects.
Yeah, fully agree. Sometimes we try to adapt ourselves to the calls and do the things, but we have to be a plan with the stakeholders. So, well, thank you very much, Rui. This is a very good conclusion for your presentation. So you have the system to say things in the chat or in Slido, and we will continue later if you don't have any question now for Rui. We could go to José Miguel. José Miguel Costa is a researcher of the Center for New Energy Technologies of Electricity of Portugal. And he's going to explain us the opportunities that we have that is going to be open in Horizon 2020. José Miguel is the coordinator of the Positive project. So listen to him because he's able to build up very big and complex projects like this one of a smart city. So whatever he says, he has the authority because the success show that he has very good arguments for that. So José Miguel, the word is yours. Thank you very much. And if you have any question, write in the chat or in a Slido, whenever you prefer, and we will answer later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esteban, for the very kind presentation. And good morning to all. It's very nice to meet you and to be here, not only as a speaker to talk to you a bit more about the Horizon Europe, but also as Positive coordinator, as Esteban was saying, because we have, as of today, more than one year and a half of project duration. And this working group was one of the first tangible outcomes of the project. So it's very nice to see that we have a big audience once again, and that this very important piece of the legacy that we leave is gaining traction. Okay, so, but enough of Positive, let me jump to the purpose of my presentation, and I'm not being able to share it now. So this worked in the preparation, just to inform me is not working in the meeting. Okay, there it is. I think you are seeing it now.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, perfect. Sorry for this moment.
It's okay.
Okay, so the Horizon Europe, I think you heard of it already. This will be a very ambitious plan, 95.5 billion euros program for the next framework program of the European Union. Will last 7 years as the previous one, the Horizon 2020. And in terms of structure, we have 3 key pillars, 5 missions, and 8 partnership areas. I will jump into that in a moment. But in terms of the objectives, yeah, they are in the same line as the previous framework program. So the European Commission wants to improve our scientific and technological capacity, and to do that, not just to create technological artifacts, but to increase the quality of life of the European citizens. So to have more jobs, to be more competitive in a very competitive world, and to do all of this, to create these missions linked to the citizens. And this is actually one of the novelties of this program, which is this mission-oriented approach. And it's inspired on the missions to the moon because they had a lot of the spillover effects for the society in the past century. So the idea was to follow that thread. And within that spirit, the European Commission is launching since the last year some co-creation sessions, inviting all the spheres of the social society to participate and provide inputs on these missions. You can see here that there is one specifically for climate neutral and smart cities, one of the 5 missions that we have. And we'll discuss this more deeply in the next slide. But besides this, we also have an European Innovation Council. So the goal here will be to promote and to bolster the startup scene of Europe. We already said that Europe is in between the US and China. And regarding this startup, the emergence of startup and digital technologies, we are a bit lagging behind. So the goal of this novelty will be to improve that. Another important point is that for the Horizon Europe, the list of third countries and other organizations that are not part of the European Union that can participate, that can receive grants for this type of projects was enlarged. Once again, this happened with H2020 and happened again with Horizon Europe. Now, jumping to the mission on smart cities. Well, just start saying that the mission, one of the objectives of the missions is indeed to produce calls for the Horizon Europe, but their scope is way broader than this. So there are a lot of documentation that I invite you to exceed here in the slide. You can see the last bullet. but the major objective of this mission is to set up contracts. The name is Climate City Contracts, with 100 cities for them to be the champions of the urban climate neutrality in Europe. So these 100 cities will be used as an example for the remaining cities in order for all the continent to achieve the climate neutrality by 2050. And the goal for these 100 European champion cities is to achieve that by 2030. So there will be funds for this. It is not clear as of today the different dispositions of this contract, but of course there will be funds for that. And I just raise your awareness for one call of the Green Deal. So Green Deal was a program that was placed between the last stage of the H2020 and before the start of Horizon Europe. And one of the calls that will be funded soon, I hope, is this one. So towards climate neutral and socially innovative cities. The main goal of this call will be to fund a platform to assist cities in this path to climate neutrality by 2030. So this consortium that will be financed will be just one. We'll also coordinate the group of cities that will be applying to be one of these 100 champion cities, and will assist cities throughout this contract. The consortium will have a grant of 53 million euros, but 70 or 60% of this, so around 30 something, will be allocated to cities to develop pilot projects. Because cities in principle were not invited to be part of this consortium, because if you as a municipality were engaged in the consortium, you could not apply to receive the cascade funding for the demonstration projects, which in principle is the most interesting part of this. Very quickly, so this is the structure of the Horizon Europe. The calls that I will show you are placed here in pillar 2, and they are divided in clusters, okay? And this is where the majority of the funds is allocated as well. The clusters itself, I think for cities, all of them will have interesting opportunities for sure. From my part, I'm more aware of what is being discussed in cluster 4 and 5. So digital industry and space for 4, and the 5 regarding climate, energy and mobility. And these are the most, the clusters with more funds, so with more opportunities. And in each cluster, what you can see is that we have different destinations. So it's like group of calls. There's none regarding cities or smart cities, but the opportunities for cities are for sure dispersed here. So when we talk about transportation in destination 6, for sure that we'll have opportunities for cities here, the same for energy efficient buildings, and even for citizen engagement. So there are a lot of calls within these topics. One disclaimer is that there's no final version of cluster 5 or even cluster 4. So we've been looking at drafts, and one thing that I noticed is that from the first draft that I saw to the last one, the calls that were more pointed to cities, to municipalities, were reduced. So, for example, we had one on positive energy districts, which is the topic of positive, for instance, but this call was removed from both this year and the next year. Okay, so what you can say to us is that there will be other opportunities outside this framework of Horizon Europe that will be linked to cities, and for instance, the Green Deal will be one of them. The cluster 4, okay, follows the same structure. For cities, there are a lot of opportunities here in human resilience and twin transition. And now I will show you a couple of them. I try to focus on the ones that have a deadline, a more recent deadline. So for this year or the beginning of next one, I don't have time to present you with more detail all of the calls that I have here, but I have details for 5 of them, which I think could be very interesting for cities. As for the other ones, we have just a brief note. So I don't know if you are familiar, you probably are, but CSA is a coordination and support action. So these type of projects are more oriented to policy making and gather group of stakeholders and produce training and so on. So not so much for large demonstration actions. Large demonstration actions are within the scope of innovation actions, which is the majority of calls that we have here. The other modality is the research and innovation action, which is for the development of technology with a lower readiness level. As for this one, the co-fund, so the co-fund is oriented to national funding agencies. And if the agency of your country accepts to or applies to this opportunity and accepts to finance it, you as an entity of that country can apply as well in a subsequent stage, but it depends on this initial step. So besides the ones that I will show you with more detail in a couple of minutes, this one, a CSA, is to reinforce the digitalization of local energy ecosystems. So this points to a scenario that we are living today, which is the emergence of energy communities. And the goal of this call is not to have demonstration activities with the energy communities itself, but to explore how new digital tools can enhance the participation of users in this type of activities. The other one, Just Transition in Europe. So it's more oriented to the academia and to explore how can we achieve a just transition. So looking more at areas that are more dependent on coal or oil. And for that, what type of activities can we perform, socioeconomic activities, to ensure that that we'll have transition with the same speed, or at least with comparable costs. Then we have a set of calls for buildings. So all this group of innovation actions. And I think here they are pretty much in the same line. So one is more related with the collection of data. The other one with renovation. So the difference between the operation of the building and the construction of the building. But for a city, and we saw this in a lot of projects that we have, normally cities can enter with one or two more or even more partners attached, academia or companies, and they can be the owner of demonstration. So imagine that we have a set of public buildings that will be renovated. So you can include them as a demonstration in this type of proposals. And with that, you can finance the part of the innovation. So you can see that in the beginning of the Horizon 2020, cities and the demonstration owners were being funded for commercial equipment. So imagine PVs. That's not the situation nowadays. So the Commission assumes that this part should be taken care by the owner of the buildings. What they are indeed financing is the innovative activities on top of this infrastructure. And with that, I will now enter the part that I will show you more detailed opportunities that we have here. And Esteban, feel free to interrupt me when I reach my time, because then we'll show the presentations and I have here the details that you can consult with more time.
Yeah, and we are going to share with them the complete draft of the cluster 4 and 5. I think it will be useful for them as well to have the complete information. Yes, but if you could run through all of them very quickly, I will appreciate, and then we will have 5 minutes for the 2 questions that we have at the end. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I will do it briefly. So the first one, cluster 4, testing innovative solutions on local communities' demand. The goal here, this is an innovation action. I mean, all of the opportunities that I will show you here are innovation actions. So demonstration led. And the goal here is to increase the adoption of technological and non-technological solutions in cities. And they don't define the scope of these solutions. The only requirement, which is not an easy one, but it's only one, is that they should reply to concrete demand of citizens. So this points to the co-creation and other type of scenarization workshops that we should have, or sessions, to develop these solutions. But this should be 100% matched with the needs of the communities where the solutions will be tested. Normally in projects, they ask for replication and scaling up. Here, that's not, this is not a worry. So consortia should only focus on these local contexts and on providing solutions that are fit for those contexts. So avoid one size fits all. And in terms of verticals, I think you can include here everything pretty much. So not only energy, but also digital solutions or even solutions related with health. So I think, yeah, you have a world of possibilities here, and the goal is to test up to 100 innovative solutions. The next one, social and affordable housing district demonstrator. The goal here is to develop a methodology, a process that will facilitate the renovation of social housing districts. And to do that, keeping in mind that this district should be more efficient in terms of energy consumption, more accessible and more livable. So to do this at the same time that we think how to improve the well-being and the quality of life of the citizens that will live there. To do this hand in hand with digital tools, and to do this considering the interaction with different domains. So here they refer the smart grids. So when we think about the electrical distribution grid, but we can also think about electrical mobility or even other types of infrastructure that should be well integrated. And this should be multi-sector and should be multi-stakeholder as well. To do this at an affordable cost, of course. So the goal is to point to this, I would say like a living lab. I think that's a goal here as well. And to do this, to develop bottom-up business models that facilitate the engagement. So the engagement, even for this type of calls or opportunities that are more technological oriented or within the cluster 5, the energy cluster, they all refer to social sciences. So the part of the engagement, how to cultivate citizens to participate and to co-create, so to be co-owners of this type of projects. And the examples that I refer here are the energy communities, which is a good tool to do that, but also housing cooperatives or co-investing or even some sort of crowdfunding, I think could be a good add-in here. Transition super labs. This is a coordination and support action, not a demonstrator. So I was lying in the beginning, but here the goal, a transition super lab. It's a new concept. I never seen it before the Horizon Europe draft, but it's like a bigger living lab, a living lab with a broader scope that integrates more entities and where you can test more or different type of solutions. The goal here is not to set up demonstration activities within these transition labs because it's a coordination and support action, but is to map a set of areas that could be a good candidates for this super lab concept, such as metropolitan areas, so areas that will be difficult to transition to the new energy paradigm, and to perform feasibility studies on top of those areas. So how can we, in the future, in the near future, reach this status of a transition super lab? But the funding of the super labs themselves is not within the scope of this type of proposals. And that's why that you can see that the finance or the grant is not that big, 3 million. It's for preparation activities. This one is a very direct objective linked with renovation. Once again, not renovations, specific renovation of social housing, but the scope is a bit broader on that field. Here they refer both to passive and active actions, and even to deep and soft renovations. So deep renovation is when we think about changing the windows, imagine, or even some other insulation materials. Soft renovations is more looking at change the ICT infrastructure of a building to enable a better collection of energy consumption, for instance, and with that better energy management. So the goal here is to develop these packages for the renovation of buildings. And this is very interesting for this working group, because one thing that they refer to is the integration of renewable energy sources with buildings, respecting the aesthetical value and the historical value of those buildings. So I think that's a very good match to the discussion and the objectives that we have here in this working group. And jumping to the last one, yeah, this one already in 2022 in February is a call to foster the creation of energy communities. So this topic, once again, energy communities appear a lot because now we have somehow the regulatory framework to do it, but you can see that in some countries of Europe, this is not progressing so fast. So we need to understand why, and we need to solve it. And the goal of this call is precisely for the consortium to develop new tools to support the demonstration of energy communities. Could be a tool to manage the energy communities itself, could be a tool just for entities to assist municipalities in creating those energy communities, can be a tool for the users of the energy community to interact between themselves and imagine with some gamification features. So yeah, the scope is broad as well. The goal here will be to develop these tools and to apply them. So we will need indeed to have the energy communities within the duration of the project. And that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope it was useful for you.
Yes, thank you very much for the insights. The session is recorded because you gave a lot of details that we had to consider in order to understand what the call is looking for. In any case, we are going to share with you the complete calls of Cluster 4 and Cluster 5 to help you to identify in detail what José Miguel has introduced to you. So thank you very much. So, and now, following what Rui said, you have to prepare yourselves for the next call. And following what Sarah indicated in the chat, we are going to ask your permission to share your contact details in order to establish partnership among you. So let's go with the general. If you don't have any comment on question, let's go to the questions that we formulate. Use your mobile phone, and we would like to ask you if you type second working group, and we would like to finish it just with a short delay, but not a lot, because we're just going to make 2 questions to know what could be the next topic in the next working group meeting. We are going to organize the next working group meeting in 3 months, at the end of June, beginning of July, accordingly with the availability of speakers. But because this is a working group and it's bottom up, we would like to ask you, what do you consider should be the topic for the next working group meeting? What do you think that should be asked? Maybe we could continue with finance, probably with things related to ESCO that Rui Barroso said. Or maybe there are other opportunities. We are about to launch the new Bauhaus conference. Is going to take place on the 22 and 23rd of April now. As you know, the new Bauhaus is an initiative of the European Commission, President von der Leyen, related to a new movement of the architecture that will include a lot of the things that we are discussing here for heritage preservation of the city better for the citizen, making the cities more efficient. So I will like you to tell us what do you think that should be for the next. So funding, we continue with funding, finance, citizen engagement is something very relevant as well. Okay. Okay, Valeria, thank you very much for being with us. In any case, you have our contact as well. Regional available funds. Okay. Okay, so we think funding should be something still there, and I took electric mobility, reintegration, city concept, and citizen engagement. Okay. So the next question is for you, if you want to be promoted, so if you want to promote your best practice, your partnership, your profile, please let us know if you want to be promoted. So you can contact us. You have all our contact details, or as well my email address, but as well, please let us know if you want to be with your profile to be seen in the first newsletter. So we are planning to have a meeting like this one of 1 hour. Sorry for the delay in 3 months, but in the meantime, to keep the contact, we will send out a newsletter promoting your entity. So, and in order to be well seen and to establish cooperation. So we are taking note. In any case, if you want to hide and don't hesitate to contact us. I think you have all the details for the registration, and you will receive an email from us with all the presentations today and the cluster 5 and 4 that I told you, and the video recording. So you will have plenty of possibilities to connect, and then we have at least potential profile of cooperation. What we want with these working groups is mutual learning among yourself, partnership, to do things together, and as well to participate in common international project if it is possible. So it's going to be a very big newsletter. So we have at least six answers. So we are 5 minutes late. As I told you, we don't want to take more than 1 hour for you. Please remember what I told you. There is an open conference organized by the European Commission on the 22 and 23 of April to present the new European Bauhaus. I think it's quite relevant and interesting for this group of people to know what is this new approach. And as well, as José Miguel said, the calls of Horizon 2020 are going to open probably at mid-May, so in 1 month. So you have as well possibilities to work there. However, as Rui Barroso said at the beginning, the most important thing is to organize ourselves internally to get the most of this international cooperation. So thank you very much, and we will contact for sure with you with this newsletter and the next meeting of the working group. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you. Have a nice week.
Thank you. And thank you to Rui and José Miguel for these excellent presentations. Very practical and well done.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Rui.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Esteban, thank you.